So to know why humans are so emotional, we gotta understand the brain at a little bit of a deeper level than the basic level that most people understand it at. See, there's an important thing to note about the brain, and it's that theoretically the brain evolved at different stages. But to put it another way, we can say that some parts of the brain were used for a longer period of time than others, theoretically. Or to put it another way, some parts of the brain serve different functions and they have different varying levels of importance in the brain. And I think that third example is basically the accurate one, but you can look at it through the other lenses which I described if you would so like to. So, anyways, there's what's called like the limbic center of your brain, and basically it's a portion of the brain that's less complex and it does less uh, higher order thinking because the higher order thinking occurs at the outskirts of the brain in the cerebral cortex, which is part of the cerebrum. And the cerebrum is basically responsible for all of our higher order thinking and these sorts of things. Towards the inner part of the brain is the functions like regulating heartbeat, regulating your breathing, peristalsis in more towards the back, but still like not on the outside of well, yeah, kind of on the outside, but more towards the back. And basically, the middle part and the back part of the brain are all about those, mostly about those functions that are keeping your body alive automatically without you thinking about it. And then the outside part of the brain is the brain that deals with rational, higher order thinking and these sorts of things. But there's also some parts of your brain that deal with emotions, and I think they're between the very core of the brain and the outside of the brain. And when we did not have the same environment that we are in today, life was totally different. And so that was the environment which our brain was wired to deal with. For example, with regards to calories, our brain is wired. This is not directly about emotions. This is just about a stimulus in this particular sense, but you could call it an emotion too. What's the difference between an emotion and a stimulus when you think about it? I think it's mostly the label we put on it. But, anyways, so back in the day, we didn't have fridges and things like this. So it made sense for the body to want to get as many calories as possible in a certain period of time. So calorically dense foods, therefore, became very attractive and appealing for humans to eat. And it's still the case today, even though that's something that that stimulus is no longer serves us because of the adaptations that humans have made to the environment, but our brain doesn't change that fast. You would have to, in order to overcome that stimulus, you have to rewire your brain physically, basically, which is possible because your neurons are always rearranging and rewiring themselves, anyways. So if you just ate healthy for a long amount of time, then parts of your brain would dissociate from being so attracted to calorically dense foods simply on a logical level, not so much of an emotional level at first, until you change your belief system, which is the lens through which you view the world, right? So it's not gonna be as enjoyable because of your logical side at first, purely that. But then if you change your beliefs and your identity around it, then I think that even the pleasure that you would get from that food tends to decrease on the regular. And then if you eat something on a special occasion or whatever, that's going to be a lot more enjoyable, of course, because it's like a superfood, but you're not going to be as attracted to it at the same time on a regular daily basis because you're rewiring your brain to build a habit of not eating junk food and instead to eat something healthy. Now, with the emotions, those parts of the brain are really powerful because they had, I think they probably helped people communicate before language became popularized in one region, for example. That's one possibility. And then other things, in other ways in which it helps, is that it basically gives a operating manual on how to live for people if they're not really um like, I think it gives a lot of shortcuts for people's thinking processes in a lot of ways, because then they don't have to think about something complex if most of the time their intuition, their feelings are correct, which could be the case in a lot of times. A lot of the times your emotions and your feelings could be conducive towards doing something that's actually helpful for you, like the feeling of being hungry. If you're feeling hungry and then you go eat, that was a good thing that that stimulus drove you to do. Of course, following our emotions is not always the good thing to do, as we know, and following our instincts and the stimulus acting upon us is not always good because, for example, we don't want to do hard work. Instead, we would rather procrastinate and let that work pile up. And the reason for that is because our body naturally does not want to spend excess of resources on doing something that seems to provide no tangible benefit, which is basically what work or study is, right? Because you don't see the tangible benefit in the here and now. You only see that years down the road, for example. For example, if once somebody's graduating, then they have the tangible benefit. They get the physical diploma or whatever. And they don't see anything in the here and now with regards to benefits from engaging in a certain difficult task. And in the past, that was helpful for people as a general guiding principle in a lot of the areas, because if you were just wasting your energy all the time, like dancing around foolishly or whatever, just wasting your energy, then you're going to get hungry and you're not going to have as much energy to hunt, and basically could kill you if you're just wasting all this extra energy for no reason. So that's just a natural survival mechanism, I think. And so we have a lot of these, and they're powerful because that stuff is literally what helped our early ancestors survive, because it drove them to do things. And life was so hard for them at that point in time, too. They didn't have modern amenities like warm showers or hot showers, you could even say, food that's readily accessible, um, basically complete safety in most areas, because most people are not getting shot or dying on the streets if they're in the suburbs, for example. Like where I'm at, I'm in a suburb. I feel very safe here. Never really seen anything crazy. So, yeah, I'm thankful for that. And yeah, so they didn't have these modern amenities. They had these primitive instincts to drive them and help them survive. And now it seems to be the case that those are working against us a lot of the time, but they're powerful because if you were in a survival situation, those instincts would probably help you out a lot too in that situation. It's just that when you're not in a survival situation, then you want to turn off that ancient fight or flight system, because you're not in a dangerous system and you don't want to be relying on your emotions in the modern world. So this is a complicated topic. I don't know if everything I said made total sense. So let me know down in the comments if what I was saying makes sense to you, or if I'm wrong. I would love to read your opinion, and I would love to reconsider my own opinion, because it's a very complex and nuanced topic, I think. And I definitely don't know everything about it. I would be interested to learn if you could share some information about it. Because at the end of the day, I think, to summarize, I think those emotions are very powerful and have a strong influence on us because of their previous importance in survival, and even you could say their importance in the modern day, because For example, or sorry, their importance in bringing us to the modern day, mostly because, for example, a mother's affinity and love for her child, and the man for the woman and for the children, and all of that, the woman for the man, whatever, all of that. Um, that's an emotion, right? Logically, it doesn't even make sense for everybody to be taking care of the children in some situations. Logically, it doesn't make sense, but that's where number one, morality gets involved, and number two, emotions also get involved. So those things are beneficial in a lot of ways in terms of having a society that functions well instead of everybody acting purely logical all the time. But at the same time, in our daily lives, a lot of the times our emotions can interfere because they are very powerful and they might not be the right thing to do at that specific moment in time. Whereas in the past, those emotions would have had a lot of benefit. Right here and right now, they might not have a lot of benefit, and they might be uh, taking you away from the path that you should be doing. So I think that what I was saying makes sense, more or less. Please let me know if you disagree. I'll be interested to hear your opinion. And if you enjoyed the video, leave a like. I'll keep more content like this coming. If you watched this point, you might as well subscribe. And I guess that's it. Have a great day.